All right, I'm going to call to order a regular meeting of the Wellington Board of Selectmen. It is Monday, March 20th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. If you will join us in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on our agenda was an executive session. We need to reschedule that. The parties could not attend. So I ask if you could both send your availability within the next week to Karen as soon as possible, even after this meeting. All right, next item is approval of minutes. You should have minutes in your packet. From our April, nope, we moved ahead, March 6th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes of March 6, 2023.
Two corrections. One, I think you've already noted, there was a misspelling of FOIA on one of the pages.
FOIA.
And the other one was page 4 in the item that was added to the agenda, E, SBC legal. That paragraph, I think what was important in that conversation was each of the 3 select persons made a specific point in that conversation. And I don't think it needs to be verbatim by any means, it's just a summary, but I think it should be clearer what each of the 3 select persons commented on, the general topic they commented on, because each of the 3 of us had the point we wanted to make. So I think that should be captured.
Okay. All right, any other comments? Gotcha.
I think Mike got my points.
Okay. All right, all those, see no other discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, present to speak. If you're online or in the room, I ask you to state your name for the record and limit your comments to 2 minutes. I'm going to start online. There's just fewer people there. Anyone online present to speak? You do have the ability to raise your virtual hand or unmute yourself. All right, we'll come back to you. Anyone in the room present to speak? Yes, sir.
Mixella 49 Myrtle. First of all, I just wanted to start off, any FOIA requests that come in, I think it's appropriate to have those go out to the appropriate parties in a reasonable time frame, not 3 weeks later. I think that's just showing that it's the delay. Also, I'd like to see the Board of Selectmen add to the agenda, hopefully, the discussion of if a purchase and sales contract comes to the board or into the town, does the board have to sign off on that? I hope you guys can answer that tonight. And then Erica's the only member that has yet to give an answer, yes, no. If you know who did or did not, advise Liza to sign that letter of intent. Mike has stated he doesn't know. Jim doesn't know. You're the only member that has not answered that. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else present to speak? Yes, sir. Yes.
Peter Latinchich, 97 Trask Road. I wanted to express my deep concern and renew my objection to the last town meeting that we had, where we did not have a prior present to speak, public hearing before the town meeting, which is the way our process normally functions. It was said that it wasn't necessary, and then comments were made that there would be ample time at the town meeting for discussion of the school project. That was the purpose of the town meeting. I think it's fair to say everyone was unhappy leaving that meeting. There was virtually no time for discussion. And what was especially disturbing about it was the townspeople were limited to 2 minutes or less, and yet the public officials had unlimited time. And the town meeting was for the townspeople. And they were highly frustrated because they had no public hearing to understand the issues before them. And there was even less time at the town meeting. What was even less understandable to everyone, I think, was unlike our regular town meetings where we make decisions as townspeople, that meeting adjourned to referendum, and it didn't matter whether we were there or not. It just did. I don't think I understood this. I don't think anyone understood this. But most importantly, it didn't serve the townspeople well. We didn't understand the issues. We had no opportunity to discuss them, and we had no opportunity to take action on them. And that's how our process normally works. I strongly urge one of you to put this on your next agenda to ensure that we never have I guess what was described by the attorney as a selectman directed town meeting again, because it did not function well for us. And that's not in the best interest of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else present to speak? Yes, sir.
John Blessington, 29 Mason Road. I had something to say, but Mr. Latinjik's pretty much said it, so I just want to say that I second everything.
Anyone else? I'll just let the record show it was a selectman initiated referendum, not town meeting. All right. Put that one down. Correspondence. You don't have a list of correspondence. That is one of the things we're working on with Karen, and making sure that piece is together. So you'll have a comprehensive list at our next meeting, but any correspondence that have come in are certainly on file in the selectman's office. All right. Selectmen's update, steep grant, nothing new has changed there. We are just working to complete the engineering plan, and then Troy, I see you back there. We're still, Carl's still working on the RFP, right? Nothing new is different on that, okay. Again, our hope is to have that done sometime this summer. If not, we will coordinate so that it does not interrupt those fall activities on the green, the car show and the flea market. We're very conscious about that. So we will work around that if time becomes an issue. All right, school building committee. Mike, you're representing there. I'll let you update us on that.
Not a lot to report right now, partially due to the blackout period and awaiting the determination by the townspeople at the referendum. We're just mostly handling administrative business right now.
Okay.
The only thing I would say is we are in the process of some RFPs as discussed in the meeting, which would only go into effect, depending on the results of the referendum.
I do think it's important to note that there is explanatory text on the project that's wrapped up in the referendum, that's
Yes,
loosely from the SBC. That information comes out of the town clerk's office. That is available, and that is the only official
That's the only-
communication regarding the referendum.
correct.
And we, I can, if anyone has questions about what that is. So we have an ordinance that speaks to that, and it speaks to state statute. So you're allowed explanatory text. It can't be persuasive in nature to a yes or a no vote on any referendum item. And it has to be reviewed by legal. That is both by our ordinance and state statute. So that was done, and that information is in the town clerk's office and was asked to be put on the website as well as our social media. So working on putting that information out. As far as the referendum, there also absentee ballots are now available in the town clerk's office. Absentee ballot applications are available in the town clerk's office. Lot zip grant. So the plans had to go to CROG. That's our regional council of governments. We are in the Capital Region Council of Government. So they reviewed the 75% plans, made comments. They came back, and the next steps will be to update the plans and then send the 90% drawings to DOT for review. So that is Mike D'Amato is overseeing that project. And so we're moving right along. Again, he and I had a discussion today as to whether or not we thought it would be in this construction season. We certainly hope to, but a lot of that is dependent on DOT and the amount of time they take to get things back. ARPA, Last meeting was last Monday, where we had a facility study was on the public hearing and then the agenda. And it was approved by ARPA for spending at the last meeting. So that's a study of both a needs assessment, space needs assessment, and physical needs assessment of town buildings. So I am working on developing an RFP for that and bring that to you all at our next meeting to review so we can move forward with that. TRIP grant, you've heard me talk about this new competitive grant through CROG and Connecticut DOT. We applied, it was for drainage and paving of Village Hill Road for just under $600,000. Unfortunately, our project was not selected by CROG to be submitted to DOT for approval. It is a competitive grant. There were 7 projects submitted within our region, and the top 4 scored projects moved forward. We came in 5th. You should each have a copy of the communication we got back from CROG on this, and you can see some of the things that are scored these other items higher were the public pedestrian walks, the connectivity aspects of their projects led them to score higher than ours. You can steal one of those.
Is this the stack that I forgot to bring with me?
Probably.
All right.
Yeah. And so it's not to say something couldn't come up. This is going to before the CROG Transportation Committee and then the CROG Policy Board, of which I sit. So I will keep you all posted on where we do. So we were all a little bit disappointed. I haven't given up all hope until they say no, but such is the case. We talked about what things we could add into that project to make it a little bit more attractive, but in all reality, it's not something we had talked about and we weren't prepared. I'm not sure that adding sidewalks in that area, there'd be sidewalks to nowhere, right? If there were sidewalks along 32 that took us to the park, they would absolutely make sense out of one of those biggest neighborhoods. But within the scope of this project, to just add those things on the fly, I did not feel was the best use of our dollars at this point. So, yes, you may.
Do you think it would be possible administratively to look at these other applications at some point and maybe we could see something about how they wrote their applications or what they included that might help us next time?
And you can, so we knew we were going to score, once we got the rubric, we were going to score a little bit lower in the transportation network connectivity impact portion. That was really, that's really where we faltered. So, and there was quite a, a 20-point gap between us and those, and almost all of those are in areas where there is sidewalk work to be done. So one of the things they continuously ask us is, can you put some sidewalks in? Is there a place to put multi-use trails? And it just, we weren't prepared at this point in the grant to include those items, because on top of putting them in, and yes, maybe our project would have been accepted, we have to think about maintaining those in the future and what additional costs that adds. And there had been a real discussion about that, so it'd be completely changing the scope. But yes, we can take a look at those projects, and you can see a brief description on the
I was
back.
just noticing that the difference between above and below the line is 15 points.
Yes.
And so if we could squeeze out 5 points in a couple categories,
Yes.
all of a sudden we would
Yeah.
be in the running.
So I want to thank, again, Mike D'Amato was very helpful in writing this grant for us, his grant writing expertise.
Particularly the 2 towns just above the big black line, I'm thinking like, on first glance, they look like a similar type of project to ours.
Mhm.
Road improvements or street improvements,
Mhm.
although street could imply sidewalks,
Yes,
but
yeah,
it'd be good
I'll
to
delve
just look at it
into-
and see if there's a lesson learned or something like
yeah,
that.
because the most I knew about the projects is what you see here. We didn't see any others prior to that. We didn't know we knew some towns were submitting, we just didn't know what the projects would be. So we have not given up, and we have not given up on looking for other grant opportunities for this project. Again, it's been on the books since the early 90s. It's high and above time we get this work done.
Yeah, neither of those seem to include sidewalks, looking at the
Yeah,
brief,
it doesn't-
the brief summaries on the back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so.
Keep
And,
trying.
I'm not sure how much it helped us that, we feel it's incredibly important. yet for almost 30 years, the town has failed to fund it. So that certainly did not help us in this particular area, and we knew that going in. So our willingness to fund our own projects, or lack thereof, actually is
Maybe hurting us.
hurting us. All right, staff updates. Last Tuesday, very suddenly, and our Parks and Rec director resigned for personal reasons. So we will be seeking an interim director until such time as we can do a full search for a permanent director. So I'll keep you posted on that. It's certainly a very fluid situation during budget season. But we have an assistant that only works 10 hours a week. In discussions with him right now, he can give us about 20 hours. He's willing to take on some of the work to get us ready for some of the summer things. Summer camp is the biggest program out of that department. It is run in conjunction with Human Services. So right now Jenny's prepared to take on some of that until we find a director. So first goal, work with the commission to find an interim director and then find a permanent director.
Actually, I was just there before our meeting, just visiting the department, and they're still working. They got a bunch of events planned. They're still working that. So I don't know what people think.
No, programs are on as
They're
DP,
on,
right? Chris
right.
is leading,
They're on
but
and
there is no director.
Right.
And I think that's so when folks call and come in, there won't be someone here regularly for now, but we're gonna move to find someone that can pick up the mantle and work in the interim,
So
so.
if they're used to sending an email to Alan, they should, how should they contact that department? So
Well,
we don't-
now they should contact by the phone number.
By the phone
Yep,
number.
yep, and then
I
we,
thought you wanted-
as we have staff information, we'll share that. But if you go on the website, the phone number to the department is where all communication should go. And today, sadly, Chris Roberts, who's our assistant planning, zoning, wetlands agent, gave us notice. Chris is leaving us in early April. He took a position at Connecticut DOT. So we wish
The
him
guy that
well.
Mike just trained.
Yes. Some of this is, within our salary scope, we become a training ground. I will say, in this instance, Chris and I had a talk this afternoon. There are many other factors outside of that and location for him. And he's a young man, beginning his life, and it's taking him farther away from this side of the state as well. So we wish him well, and we'll be working to get that position posted first through the union and then outside, if not filled. All right, Public Works. See him back there somewhere.
All right, so roadside mowings continuing throughout town. We assisted with the removal and backfill of the oil tank at the fire department. We replaced the catch basin top over at the library. We've been picking up wood from the contractors that are cutting the trees. We've got ready for the storm that we had last week. We've washed the trucks. We're currently picking up the trash at the park again. We replaced the water pump on our truck. We're currently getting our sweeper and water tank ready for sweeping season. That's hopefully gonna happen next week. And we made a ramp in the back of the garage to clean out the detention.
All right. And hopefully we're done with that other stuff. It shall not be named.
Just move on.
I made the mistake of saying that last time, and it didn't go so well. Any questions for Troy at Public Works?
No.
No, all right. I do want to thank Troy and our crew. They worked some long nights in here at the end of the winter season, because it's now officially spring. And thank them for all that they continue to do to make sure our roads are safe for everyone to be out on them. So thank you guys. It's not easy to be out there all night with little to no rest. So kudos. All right. Brings us to new business. The first item is the emergency communication notification policy. So out of COVID and another incident in town in May of 2020 came an emergency communications task force. And out of that, we procured the use of Everbridge communication system. And we need to now get it up and running for residents. But it's important that we have a policy for what it's used for. Some of the things we talked about in that task force were what we would use that emergency system for. And, you don't want it to become a catch-all. There's gonna be a PTA bake sale, there's gonna be, a fun run, dump your trash this weekend, those kinds of things. You don't want it to be so that people don't pay attention to it when there is an emergency. So there's a fine line between overuse and underuse. And so there are some surrounding towns, Mansfield has one, I believe Tolland has a policy as well. So I think if we take a look at those policies and kind of then tweak that to Wellington and our needs, it can be used for things like there's a voting event happening, some large scale events. The town offices are closed, the transfer station will be closed. If there was a weather event, some of those could be used and then determine how far out we want to go with that. So there are two things that I think need to happen simultaneously. One is some communication out to residents, and I'd like to look at an all-town mailer, even in a postcard that would direct folks to how to sign up for the system. And then they do that on their own. You opt in or opt out on your own. In what method you want to be notified, whether it be text message, email or phone call, or all of the above, and get that out in as many places as we can. Have it available here in the town hall, Wellington Day, for instance. We can have a booth at the flea market, any place that people are gathering, get them to sign up for it, because it only works as well as the number of people who utilize it. At the same time as people are signing up, we need to work on a policy of how we're actually going to disseminate information. And so our one now trained individual is no longer with us, so Karen will have to get well versed in how to use the system. And it is one of those systems, and we did talk about this in other towns where, if you're not using it all that often, just putting out a message can be a little bit of a work through. But it's doable and it's important, and I think we need to start doing that. Mike, I know this is, you sat on that task force. Certainly emergency service is something near and dear to you. Would you like to take a stab at the policy, drafting the policy?
I prefer not to use the stab, but yes,
Sorry.
I would be happy.
we'll
I have worked on drafting policies for these in other communities.
Yeah, I know we had received more than just the Mansfield one, although that's the only one I could find in our system now. But Doug Racicott in Tolland, I could swear he shared his, and it may have just been verbal discussions with him. And I know you
I'll
the
get that.
players in that world.
I'll get that started right away, and if we get the policy a little bit ahead of the public outreach, then we can make the public outreach clearer.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I'll
So
get
we'll work
that.
on drafting
Mhm.
what like a postcard would look like
Yep.
to folks to get them, because again, it's going to be on them to sign up for it, similar to the state system. So if you use the state Everbridge, it's going to be the same concept, and that information will be available on our website. So we'll start working on that, and hopefully we can get that out pretty, quickly. Any questions, comments on that particular item? Okay. The next item on so I'll keep this on the agenda until we have some action. The next item is Wellington's 300th anniversary. So 2002, Wellington was Wellington's 275th. So about the time I first took office, I remember saying to some folks, and might have been one of them, I think we should start working on our 300th. And he said, that's 9 years away. It's only 4 years away.
I think truth be told, I sent you a bunch of emails also saying it's not far away.
It's not far away. So we've all realized it's not far away. It got put in the back burner. I know Stafford worked for almost 10 years on this, and they had an incredibly successful run of events to highlight such an important time in the town's history. And I'd like to see us do the same thing. This notebook found in the vault from the 275. Mike, you were on that committee, so correct me if I'm wrong, going through this, it looks like you all started somewhere around January, February, and then had events in the spring and summer. So it looked like a lot.
I can't remember the timeline exactly, but we did have multiple events. Mostly the biggest one was like the town parade and stuff like that.
And that was in the fall. So there was Wellington Day in May and then things in the fall. But from what I could ascertain so far, they started working within the year that it all took place. And certainly a lot of work went into it, and it was a great time. I remember the parade myself. And a good time was had, and it was wonderful to see. So I think, what could we do in this amount of time if we start planning now? So I'd like to make a motion to formally form an ad hoc committee for Wellington's 300th anniversary.
Second.
Seconded by Jim. Discussion, made up of townspeople. Anyone really who would like to participate? I hate to cap things, but I think,
Well, I think we should have a minimum
Started-
size, because there is a lot
Yeah.
of work
I-
to spread out.
I
So
think
we
if
should
we-
have a minimum
I think if
size of
we-
like 7 or
I was
something.
gonna say 10, so 7 to 10, I think it's good, because there was a lot of things happening. And the town will be involved in some way. There is a small amount of funds in here where some bank statements, I gotta check with Donna to see how much. It looks like there's a couple $100 to start with. And most of the money that was raised then was spent or donated in different capacities. So there's just a little bit of money there, but we certainly have access, so a good place to start. So, if we keep that committee to at minimum, I want to say minimum 7.
Sure.
And more is better. And so we will put some information out once this is voted on to get people who are interested to sign up. And, if we're talking over a 4-year period, there could be people who come and go from that
Yes.
committee and.
Yeah, there may be
Definitely.
some things need more,
More attention
hands-on or
others.
something like that. You can have a subcommittee, it's not
Yeah.
that big a deal.
No, and I think they're
Basically-
gonna need subcommittees for
Yeah,
all of
if
this
if
work.
groups of 7 or 8 or 10, that's probably about the ideal
Yeah.
range. I agree, you probably don't want to go over 10. And
Yeah.
get anything done.
Yeah, if I remember right, the parade took a lot of meetings just to
Yeah.
get the administrative stuff set and the invitations, the timing.
So you need.
But things like we did
Yeah.
T-shirts
Yeah.
also, the T-shirts only took a couple meetings to get that figured out. So
Yeah.
there are varying
Yeah.
activities.
There were a variety of activities that included, so there were T-shirts that you could purchase at the fire departments. It also coincided with 2 big anniversaries of the fire department, 50 and 60 years. So now we're at 75 years and 85 years of these 2 departments. So, I see Chief Moore in the back.
Yeah, there's
So-
a joint T-shirt between.
It was, and it's funny, this came up in, my list of things I wanted to bring before this board. At the same time, a T-shirt appeared at my house when for my late father-in-law. That was that T-shirt, and I didn't remember the T-shirt. I remember the parade, but, so, yeah, and it was exciting to see the things. There was a Civil War reenactment. There was a Miss Willington contest, and that hadn't happened in years, a couple of decades before that. So there were some repeat items. There were things at the flea market. There was a kite festival, a softball game of the fire departments, a town potluck dinner and a concert. And I believe the concert was on the green. Now we didn't have River Road back then. And so,
There was
some
talk
these
of a
things-
carnival also, because at the 250th, there was a carnival,
Okay,
which was the year before or the year after the
Bicentennial.
bicentennial. So there were 2 carnivals 2 years in a row.
yeah.
But the carnival we weren't able to find a spot and figure out if the finances made sense or not for the
Sure.
carnival, so that didn't happen.
So a lot of great things that can happen. This could, the information is here for whomever joins this committee and chairs it. A lot of good stuff here. So I'd like to see us getting to work on that. I think it's really important. Keep our community history going. All right, so the motion was for an ad hoc committee for the 300th anniversary. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Maybe we can have something on our website or.
Yeah,
something like that.
I'll put a communication out on the website. We'll put a communication out on our
Looking for
social
volunteers.
media. Mhm. All right. Tax refunds, I have that, so I will move to refund Sharon Maville, certificate of correction in the amount of $131.64.
Second.
Seconded by Jim. Any discussion? My hesitation was simply that there was a POA that signed the form, so I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure it's the right way. Okay. Any other discussion?
No.
All right, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, we have no old business tonight. The ethics policy is still on our agenda to keep going forward, but having heard nothing more back from either of you, we'll still wait and we'll keep waiting. All right, present to speak. That brings us to present to speak. Anyone online? State your name for the record and keep your comments to 2 minutes. Is there anyone present to speak? They're afraid to raise their hand. We might put them on this committee. All right. Anyone in the room present to speak? Ms. Moore?
Alex Moore, Chief of Lincoln Fire. I just want to make the board aware, I know most have heard about it. We've had a significant issue with our building. So far, our staff has been moved out of the station and down to our 143 143 River Road station. So we're not able to use that building. We're working with insurance, and as of today, they want an engineer to come in and look at the building. So as soon as we know more, we'll ask you to put on the agenda to discuss it. Our biggest thing is we want to thank the first selectwoman, chairman of the board of finance, and the Wellington Hill Fire Department for working with us. It's been a collaborative effort between everyone to make sure that services aren't delayed, aren't stopped. But it's been a great collaborative effort with everybody.
Thank you. I will just note that because they're not using that facility for staff currently, I did offer them space in this building so that they could, not for day staff, but simply for office space. So they have some options for that. Chief Moore is looking at what their options are, mainly so that we can mitigate any additional costs and keep any costs during this time to a minimum.
What seems to be the problem?
Sorry?
What's the problem with the firehouse?
Mold.
Mold,
So
okay.
water issue that, we've had an adjuster, service master, and they know it's coming from the ground up. But we don't know why or what has changed. In the last 5 months, there's been a significant change inside of the building. And nobody can seem to figure out what that change is yet, so.
And the initial thought was coming from the top down. It's not, it's coming from the bottom up.
Yeah.
So
it's
today,
coming.
Chief Moore and I had a conversation about the concrete slab that it sits on,
Yeah.
which is what I don't think anyone had thought about
Nobody had thought
to this
about it. We
point.
actually pulled the-
Sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but I just want to make a point of order. We don't
Yeah, we
typically
are.
engage
We
in
don't.
discussion during present to speak, so
Yeah.
maybe we could finish this in good welfare or something.
Sorry.
We'll keep you all posted, but he's looking at that. You had your hand up, sir?
Yeah, Pete Tanaka, 125 Mason. Two things on the Everbridge. I'm an Everbridge user. Coventry has a pretty good policy.
Great.
There's more than one user for those. There's also more than one group of users, recipients within that system, so you can work it that way as
You're on the
well.
committee.
See, this is why people will put their hand up.
The second thing is, I was wondering if there was a policy on open fires at the parking area at the trailhead on Mason Road. That's become a recent issue. I don't know if there's a policy. If there's not a policy, maybe there should be a policy. I went down there and put the fire out the next morning. It was still smoldering.
Take that under advisement, thank you.
That's all I got.
Anyone else present to speak? Yes, sir.
Nick Tell, 49 Myrtle. I think the fire department definitely should get the help that they need financially. I mean, that's, pretty unfortunate situation there. But with that being said, going into purchasing vehicles for, public works, I think we need to understand going in voting that we have an unforeseen expense, and maybe that CIP money and such can go towards the fire department and helping them out. Also, in regards to the sidewalks and such, I'm not for or against, I'm just asking, if we were to have put sidewalks in on the road, would that have been out of our pockets or out of the grant money? Again, I'm not for or against, just out of curiosity on that. And then last thing is, if we had, I don't know Chris's personal situation as to why he stepped away, but if it's money, could we have offered him Mike's position to keep him, pay a little bit more, get rid of, maybe get rid of Mike, pay him a little bit more, and save money too. So, that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else present to speak? All right. Anyone online? I'll go back to you once more. Going once, going twice. All right. Good and welfare. Mobile food share is here every other week around back from 11 to 11:30. A reminder is open to all residents of the state of Connecticut and Willington. You need not qualify. You need not tell anyone why you're there. Just drive up and we will load your car up. Please continue to support our small businesses and restaurants if you can. I'm not sure if the voting for Willington Pizza to be Connecticut's #1 pizza is still up, but go on Channel 3's website when you leave here and vote for them. You still can.
I think so.
Is it
11
o-
PM?
I think it's 11 or 11:59, so go vote for Willington Pizza. When we came into this meeting, they were at 51 and Pleasant Pizza, Pleasant Street in Willimantic was 49%, so show them some Willington love. Referendum for the school building project is a week from tomorrow, Tuesday, March 28th, from 6 AM to 8 PM, right here in this room. The explanatory text is available in the town clerk's office as well as absentee ballot applications. Willington Day is scheduled for Saturday, May 27th at River Road Athletic Center. You can reach Melissa McKinnon if you're interested in participating or being on the committee. I know the committee can always use volunteers. There's no task too small. Also, the PTA Fun Run is set for the same day, earlier that morning, Saturday, May 27th. We'll share further details as we receive them. Mr. Stevens, is that Fun Run like 8 AM?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. And then just a reminder of some of our annual budget dates. The Board of Finance will meet once again this Thursday. We're expecting to make appropriations for the fiscal year 24 budget. The budget hearing is scheduled for April 4th at 7 PM and the annual town meeting on April 18th. Again, at 7 PM. Did I say 7 AM? 7 PM. They'll both be at the town hall or the old town hall, depending on how you refer to it. And the budget referendum for the budget referendum will be Tuesday, May 2nd here in this building. All right, seeing no other matter before us, at 7:08, I will make a motion to adjourn. Second by Mike, this is a non-debatable matter. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. For those who are online, I will just note that there is a town meeting taking place immediately following this. It is an in-person only meeting. All right. Okay, I'm good. And you do not have to stay with us. If you'd like to see a town meeting, you can.
Camera.
Mhm. I think we have cleaned it a couple of times.